Welcome back, second grade. Today is Friday, June 12th, 2020, and today we are going to start the last part of this geometry unit, and we are going to talk about 3D shapes. So I have some examples of 3D shapes that I want to share with you here. Here's one example. Here's another example. I'm going to show you all the different sides, the top and the bottom. Also, we have a ton of them. Take a look at what you're noticing when I'm holding up these shapes. Think about in your house, if you have any 3D shapes in your house. If you've played with them on the playground. Awesome. So these are all examples of different 3D shapes, and we'll get into what they are called. But one of the first things that we're going to talk about when it comes to 3D shapes is that every side, or what we call with 3D shapes, every face of a 3D shape is made up of a 2D shape. So for example, let's see, we'll use this as our example right now. This shape is a 3D shape. It is every face of the 3D shape is made up of a 2D shape. So this is a triangle, that's the 2D shape, and this is one face of this 3D shape. This is a rectangle, and this rectangle is another face of this 3D shape. Here's another triangle and another rectangle, and the very bottom, or the base, is also a rectangle. So we can see here, I'll hold it up in different ways, that this 3D shape, which is called a triangular prism, this 3D shape kind of reminds me of like a tent, what a tent would look like, is made up of a triangular face and a rectangular face. We also have other shapes like a cone. And this cone might remind you of an ice cream cone, and you can see that it has one face, and that is a circle. Or we have here a pyramid shape that is made up of only triangles. So you have a triangle here, and on this side, and on the back here, and then on the base is also made up of a triangle. So 2D shapes make up the faces of 3D shapes. Here is what you would call a cube. If you've ever played a game that has dice involved, dice are in the shape of cubes, and you can see that the shape that makes up the face is a square. So you can see that here. We also have this 3D shape called a sphere, and it's like a ball, maybe a tennis ball, a soccer ball, a basketball, they're all spheres. And this is a shape that does not have any faces. So a face is a 2D shape, and 3D shapes have many faces, or some have none, that are made up of 2D shapes. So it's important for me to kind of give you that little intro here, just so that you're ready to do your activities today. And I also have this sheet here that kind of goes into a little bit more detail of what a face is. So it says face shape. The 2D shapes that can be found on the faces of a 3D shape. So here's that example of that triangular prism that I talked about. It has a triangular face here and here, and then it has a rectangular face as well. Over here is a hexagonal prism. So the faces here are hexagons and rectangles. This is a cone, again, which just has the circular face. And over here is the cube, which has the square faces all around. So there are different types of surfaces on 3D shapes. Some of these surfaces are flat, some of them are curved. So you have flat faces, which is a surface on a shape that will slide across a table. So that would be any like flat surface like this rectangle, things like that. And then you have a surface on a shape that will roll across the table. So that's where we're talking about this sphere. We also have this 3D shape here, which has one flat side, and then it has the curved surface as well. And then surfaces on a shape that will roll or slide. So this is actually a really good example. This is called a cylinder, and it has the flat face here that would be able to slide on a table, but it also has the curved surface that would also be able to roll. This reminds me of a soup can. This shape is called a cylinder. Awesome. So this is just a little quick intro to what we are going to be talking about over the next couple of days in our math lessons. And here is our problem solving task. So it's important that right now you go and make sure you have something to write with and something to write on so that you're able to answer some questions today. So this problem says, Juan got some magnetic 2D shapes for his birthday, like the magnetiles we have in BC. He decided to use the 2D shapes above to build a 3D shape. Which of the following shapes can Juan build with them? So these are the shapes that Juan has. They're the 2D shapes. And he wants to build a 3D shape with them. Here are his options. Option A, option B, and option C. Explain how you chose your answer. So you need to tell me which one of these shapes 3D shapes Juan could have built. And then you need to explain why you think your answer is correct. Awesome. Pause the video right now and go ahead and get started. Awesome. Hopefully you've had some time to answer this question. So if I'm jumping in here, it says that these are the 2D shapes that Juan has in his collection. Remember, in that little introduction that I gave, the 2D shapes represent the faces of a 3D shape. And those faces are the part of the shape that you can see. Oh, sorry about that. So what I'm going to have you do right now is what we're going to do together is go through each of these shapes to see if he could have used these shapes to be their faces. So let's take a look at A. Shape A represents this shape. This is a cylinder. What 2D shape do you see in shape A? Hopefully you see a circle. Is that one of one of his magnetic 2D shapes? No. So he could not build this. If he was going to build this, he would definitely need a circle. He would need two of them for the top and the bottom. Let's take a look at B. This is what the 3D version of B looks like. Move it around a little bit just so you can see it. Could Juan build this with the shapes that he has? Absolutely. Because as you can see here in B, and as you can see here, he has triangular faces on this side and on this side and on the back side. And then he has 3 rectangular faces as well on each side. So because of that, and you can see that this is like the triangular face right here and the other one right here. And then you can see there's a rectangle here and one on the side. So that would make sense because he has 2 triangles and 3 rectangles. So he could put those together to make this triangular prism. So I'm going to circle that, but we have to check to see because he might be able to make more than one shape. Looking over here, shape C, this represents a cube, this shape here. What 2D shape is this face? Hopefully you realize it's a square. Does he have any squares up here? No. So Juan would not be able to make this shape using the 2D shapes that he has. So we went through each one and we looked at the faces. So the reason why we know that B is right, so let's see, shape B is what Juan could make because he has 2 triangles and 3 rectangles, which represent the faces of shape B. Awesome. So what we're going to be practicing together over the course of this math lesson is we are going to be practicing together taking a look at 3D shapes and figuring out what faces make up that shape and even drawing out those faces. Remember, the face of a shape of a 3D shape is just a 2D shape, okay? So here's another example. We'll go back to this example. This triangular prism has a triangular face on this side, and a triangular face on this side. It also has a rectangular face on this side, a rectangular face on the bottom, and then a rectangular face over here. So 2D shapes make up the faces of 3D shapes, and that's what we're going to be looking at today and doing some work to make sure we understand that. Awesome. So I'm going to turn my board here. Fantastic. So our job that we're going to work on together, you're going to work on the second one by yourself, is we have to draw the individual faces of this 3D shape. Label the shape of each face. Awesome. So this is an example. What we have here on paper is an example of this shape here. This 3D shape. It has a point at the top. You can see this is the bottom. Already should be thinking about what shape that is. And you can see that it has the different sides. Awesome. So this shape here, this 3D shape, I can see I definitely have a triangle. So I'm going to draw a triangular face. So this is kind of representing this triangular face here. But I also have a triangular face over here. So I need to draw another one of those. And then I also can see, and I'm going to outline this, that I have a triangular face over here. Remember, 3 sides is a triangle, so I need to draw that. And, oops, make sure it actually looks like a triangle. And then I'm going to draw this in a different color. I have another triangular face that's back here. So that means I have 4 triangular faces. But there's one other face, and I actually don't have room for that, so that's my mistake. But I have one other face too. Besides the triangular faces, on the very bottom here on the base, I have a square. So I also have, I'm going to add just another category. I have a square. So I need to label these: square, triangle, 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 and triangle. So this shape has 5 faces. 1 is a square and 4 are triangles. The other way that you can kind of figure out how many faces a shape would have would be to look at the base. If the shape has a base like this does, this is a square pyramid, I believe. I'll double check that in a little bit. But this shape right here, because the base has a square, it has to have 4 triangles because there's 4 sides to a square, and those triangles are connecting at a point. So there has to be 1 triangle attached to each side of the base. So that's why, another reason why we have 4 triangles. Right now I'm going to have you pause the video and I'm going to have you do this one by yourself. This is the shape that's pictured here. And I will hold it up and pause the video, pause it so you can see. I will hold this up while you pause the video. Hopefully you can see it. This is probably the best angle of it, or even, I guess, no, I think that's probably the best angle of it so you can really see the faces. And so it says your job is to draw the individual faces of this 3D shape and to label the shape of each face. So think about how many sides do you think that this object has. It actually has 6 because you have 6 boxes. And think about what the faces are. Pause the video right now, draw out those 2D shapes and label them with their correct name. Awesome. Let's go over this together now that you've had a chance to solve it. So this shape is called a rectangular prism. And for this rectangular prism, I have 6 sides. I'm going to pretend, I'm going to take a look at this shape a little closely, and I can see that over here, this has 2 shapes that are the same, and the rest of the shapes are the same. So there's 2 types of 2D shapes that make up this 3D shape. So where my thumb is right here, this shape is called a square. I in fact have 2 squares. I have 1 on either side. So I need to draw it and label it. So here's the square, and the other square would be over here. on this side. The other shapes that I have, well, it's called a rectangular prism, and that's because it has rectangles. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have 4 rectangles. So I'm going to draw those and label them. Awesome. And I can see that one of those rectangles is right here. Another one is at the top up here. Then there's one behind and one on the bottom. And that's kind of hard to see, but there would be one right on the bottom as well. So that's all that we're going to practice together today. It's really important that you know that the face of a 3D shape is actually a 2D shape. So a 2D shape makes up the face of a 3D shape. And we practice together taking a 3D shape and then trying to figure out what 2D shapes could be used to make that shape. This stuff can be tricky. It's important that you are watching these videos to help you, but this is something you'll definitely go over again next year. Right now, your job is to work on your exit ticket. That's a part of this lesson. But also, I would challenge you too to take a look at your house to see if you can identify any of these 3D shapes. I have a feeling you might be able to find one that looks like this, that looks like this, that looks like this, and that looks like this. Probably easier than finding some of the triangular shapes. But definitely take a look around your house for these 3D shapes. In fact, if you want to gather some and take a picture of yourself with them and send it to your teacher, that would be awesome. And we could share that with Ms. Hammond for her morning motivation slides. Well, fantastic. Keep up the good work, guys. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I will be back on Monday with another math video.